Wondra sits in a jail cell. He is back in Idaho, accused of killing young Michael Vaughan.
You're pure evil. You have no heart. You have no soul.
Wondra is accused of murdering her then 5-year-old son in 2021. Would you think you'll ever get the answer as to why?
No, because there is no answer to why. Why would somebody hurt an innocent little boy? What answer could you give? What answer could you possibly give? How scared was he? Did he ask for me? Did he ask for Tyler?
Stacey Wondra has been charged with first-degree murder and second-degree kidnapping and destruction of evidence.
Michael "Monkey" Vaughan went missing from his Fruitland neighborhood on July 27, 2021.
This is a criminal investigation.
Now, more than 4 years later, in newly unsealed court documents, Fruitland police named 4 people they believed are involved in Michael's murder. Those 4 names are ones we've heard before.
This is Sarah Wondra. This is Sarah's husband, Stacey Wondra. This is Brandon Shirtliff, Adrien Lucienne.
As for what these 4 people have in common, they were all staying at the Wondras' home when Michael disappeared in 2021. That's just half a mile from Michael's home where he was last seen. In the PCA, police pointed to video evidence they say showing Shirtliff walking around the neighborhood. They say Shirtliff helped move Michael's body in a duffel bag temporarily to his mom's home in Kuna before standing guard as they buried him in the Wondras' Fruitland backyard. Stacey Wondra told police the 4 hoped to sell Michael for $10,000 each. He says the idea came from Adrien Lucienne. Idaho News 6 is now learning Lucienne was arrested and released in Indiana in October for a traffic-related misdemeanor. Sarah Wondra is currently serving time in the Idaho State Prison System for unrelated charges. She's eligible for parole in early 2026.
Karen, is there any connection between the Vaughan family and the home where police had been searching?
No, we've heard this more than once from the family representatives and from the police department that there is no connection between the Vaughan family and the home where this search took place.
As you know, from the time Michael went missing, this has been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, and it remains very active and an ongoing investigation. You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop. During the course of this investigation to date, we received credible information that the remains of Michael Vaughan could be found in the backyard at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland. As a result, the Fruitland Police Department obtained a search warrant for the residence along with the front and backyards. That search warrant was served on November 11th. It was a Friday. We served that late in the evening. Upon entry, officers encountered Sarah Wondra, one of the known occupants of the home, and Sarah was subsequently arrested based on probable cause that she had knowledge of Michael's death and failed to report that death to law enforcement. The following day, the Fruitland Police Department, joined by the Idaho State Police, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the Fruitland Fire Department, and the Fruitland Public Works Department, began a very methodical excavation of the backyard of the Wondras' home. During that excavation process, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, Mountain States detection dogs deployed multiple certified human remains detection dogs on the property, all of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Ground penetrating radar was also used and deployed, detecting anomalies in the backyard. We completed the excavation of the entire backyard and removed over 250 yards of dirt. Prior to backfilling the yard, the dirt was meticulously sifted for any potential human remains. We did not find Michael's remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property. As of today, the whereabouts of his remains are unknown. However, the investigation is active, fluid, and ongoing. Once the excavation was complete, we conducted a thorough search of the Wondras' residence. The search was productive, and additional investigative evidence was recovered and is currently being processed.
An hour's worth of body camera footage showing Stacey Wondra FaceTiming with detectives and directing to where Monkey's body was buried in his backyard.
It's like right under that mound area. It's right under the mound. About where at compared to the trees?
A little like right to the right of the trees area. It should be, it should be a garbage bag.
Okay, what color is the garbage bag?
It would either be white or black. We only had two colors.
Is the duct tape still going to be over his mouth?
It should be.
Okay.
I didn't watch take them off.
Okay.
So you should have everything intact as it was.
He claims he watched the burial happen.
Okay. How far down is Michael?
I don't know how far she actually dug.
And the she he's referring to, that's his wife Sarah, another suspect in the case. Stacey says Adrien, a third suspect, was also there for the burial.
Out of 300 homes, police say canines tracked Michael's scent to the home where Stacey, his wife Sarah, and their two roommates Brandon Shirtliff and Adrien Lucienne lived.
As Joe mentioned, a newly released probable cause affidavit filed in June lays out the interviews following Michael's disappearance. Again, during these initial searches, police say canines tracked Michael's scent to the fence line of the home where Stacey Wondra, his wife Sarah, and their two roommates, Brandon Shirtliff and Adrien Lucienne, lived. All four of those individuals have been named people of interest in Michael's disappearance. One of Michael's neighbors told police they saw Michael riding a bike outside of the Wondra's home the day that he disappeared. Another neighbor said they saw that same tricycle at the Wondra's home during a garage sale months before Michael disappeared. The Wondras initially denied any involvement, but then in November of 2022, Stacey asked to meet with investigators. The PCA states Stacey claims he was home the night Michael was allegedly abducted and saw Sarah carrying Michael into the house. Stacey allegedly told police it was Adrien's idea to take a child to sell for money, and they would get a $10,000 cut. Stacey claims Sarah told everyone to, quote, follow her lead. Stacey told investigators they took him to Brandon's mother's home in Kuna that night, where they left Michael overnight. Stacey claims the other three returned to Brandon's mom's house the next day and brought Michael back to the Wanderer's home in Fruitland. Stacey told police Michael was not alive, and Sarah and Adrien buried him in the Wanderer's backyard. 2 days after Stacey's interview with police, they executed a search warrant and excavated the Wanderer's backyard. The affidavit says cadaver dogs alerted to the same area where Stacey told detectives Michael's body was buried, but to this day, Michael has not been found.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Today is February 19th. Welcome into Missing PNW Crimes Revisited. My name is Samantha. I am so very glad to be here. How's everybody doing today? Sorry I was a little bit late. I had a water issue that I had to clean up because my ass forgot to turn off the water. And my sink filled up and started going all over the floor. Oh, goodness gracious. Yep, it's been one of those days. But I'm here. I'm ready for this. I hope everybody's doing well. Let's see who is here today. Court case Courtney is here. Thank you so much for being here. Baby Kisses is in the house. Lynn is here. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all for supporting Monkey, for supporting the Vaughan family. Truth to Light is here. Missing persons around the world. It's so glad to see you here, Sarah. Our other moderator, Hair Curlers and Crime, was not able to make it tonight. She had a hot date. So moderators that are here, we will be talking about some very sensitive information. So please, just a trigger warning for everybody that the information that we're going over tonight is in detail, and just protect your mental health. If you cannot watch, you can always come back, or you can leave and come back, whatever it is that you want to do. I just want to warn everybody, sensitive information. Beverly Lawyer is here. So good to see you, hun. Mama's in the house. Good to see you, Brandy. Let's see. We've got Trish here. Thank you for coming in. Pam Vogel is here. Good to see you, hun. And let's see, anybody else? Got lots of people. Shelly is here. Thank you for coming, hun. Under Your Scars is here. Good to see you. Connie Branch is here. Kay Bowden is here. Good to see you, hun. Shannon is here. Good to see you, love. Looks like Brandy's sisters are all in the house. Purple, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Sheila is here. So good to see everybody. We're going over some more court documents. Actually, we're going to be going over the probable cause affidavit again. I've highlighted a bunch of stuff, not only some times, and just reviewing it since Stacey's court hearing for his preliminary hearing coming up in March, just to go over what the probable cause has to say, because a lot of the discovery that will be shown at court will have a lot to do with what is in the probable cause affidavit. I also have a criminal complaint here that I would like to go over, because I can't remember if we ever gone over that. And I found another letter that was written by Stacey, looks like back in January of 2025, so just a few months ago. But most of this is going to be the probable cause affidavit. I've had a lot of questions by a lot of people. Not everybody has seen or heard the probable cause affidavit, and I just think that it's super important for everybody to know what's in it. That is where the sensitive information is going to come in. And now that we have lots of new information, or information that we've heard from Stacey that he has said in his confession footage, or things that Brandon has said when he spoke with JLR or myself while up on panel. Hey, Avi, good to see you, hun. Yeah, I just think that it's really important to go over this information where we can look at this probable cause affidavit and go, oh yeah, this was talked about here. We talked about that over here, and whatnot, and just kind of do some comparison and really just talk about the fact that Stacey really thinks he's going to get away with this. He is still talking about how he's going to get away with everything, and that he is not going to be charged and he will be released. I also wanted to point out a couple of things. My last live, I misspoke. I was given some information that Stacey and Sarah's status conference on their divorce was not going to happen, but it did. The status conference happened, and not only did it happen, Stacey Wondra did not show on his Zoom like he was supposed to. Matter of fact, Stacey Wondra thought that he was so slick that if he didn't show up for court, then the judge wouldn't sign off on anything, or maybe they wouldn't have the court hearing. Well, they had the court hearing, and the judge did sign off and divorce Sarah and Stacey Wondra. So I think that that's great news, even though I have found out, even though they were married, because this is a 5-year-old's kidnapping and murder case, that even though they were married, they could have even been forced to testify against each other. They could have still, testified against each other. But why was Stacey Wondra not wanting to come? Why was he trying to prolong this before his preliminary hearing? Is he scared that Sarah is going to get called in to testify against him? Who knows? Also, today is Adrien Lucienne's birthday. So, Adrien, I hope your birthday sucks, because Michael Vaughan doesn't get any more birthdays, and his family doesn't get to celebrate any more of his birthdays. You shouldn't be allowed to celebrate any of yours either. And I wish for your birthday that you would just come forward and talk to law enforcement and actually tell the truth about what happened, what you saw, what you know. Even if you get in trouble, you're a coward. And I just want to tell you happy sucky birthday. So, sorry I misspoke about the divorce. I'm just glad that it's done and over with. I did hear the information through the grapevine that divorce is final. You cannot look up. Idaho laws don't allow you to. You have to be married for like 50 years or something like that to actually see divorce documents, because they're sealed. So my source is very credible, so I know it did happen. I don't like to misspeak, so I wanted to just clear that up. Yankee Kyle, thank you so much for coming in. So you guys know me in court documents. I like to get right to everything. Before I do, we are here to talk about Michael Joseph Vaughan. He was abducted on July 27th of 2021. He was wandering around his neighborhood. He got out of the house, wandering around the neighborhood, looking for friends to play with. And during the time that he was outside, there were creeps, there were monsters in the area, and Michael was abducted. Those are the facts. That is what law enforcement has said has happened to Michael Joseph Vaughan. And the 4 suspects are Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Adrien Lucienne, and Brandon Shirtliff. Now, Sarah Wondra was arrested and charged for first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and destruction of evidence in Michael Vaughan's case. Sarah Wondra had a parole hearing in October, and now we know that there is a hold on Sarah, and when she is released in October of 2026, Sarah Wondra will also be arrested and charged with, and her probable cause says the same thing as Stacey Wondra's, for first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and destruction of evidence. Now, Adrien Lucienne is another suspect, and he knows more than he pretends to. Adrien has friends that are tied to human trafficking. He stayed with the Pope twins after Michael was abducted. Stacey said that Adrien was the one who came up with the idea to sell Michael Vaughan. People want to kill Adrien because he knows too much. Adrien tries to play the victim by telling people that he was set up to live at the Wondras' house by a white guy. So he is willingly telling us that it was planned for him to go to the Wondras' house And those are his own words, that he was set up to stay at the Wondra's house. And then we have Brandon Shirtliff. He knows where Michael is buried. And there could be one or more suspects that know, but we know that Brandon knows where Michael is buried now. Michael was buried in the Wondra's backyard and later moved to an unknown location. And Brandon Shirtliff knows where Michael is buried. Brandon either helped Sarah or maybe was told by Sarah to move Michael, since she was home when Stacey was in jail. And it's even talked about in the probable cause that maybe she could have moved Michael or helped. Brandon was seen walking in the neighborhood on footage and admitted to police that yes, he was walking around looking for a missing child that hadn't even been reported missing yet. So why was Brandon Shirtliff walking around that neighborhood right before Michael Vaughan was abducted? Brandon stayed at his mom's house the night that Michael was abducted. And according to the probable cause affidavit, Michael Vaughan was in a duffel bag at his mom's house. And he went back there that night. And cadaver dogs hit at Brandon Shirtliff's mom's house. These are the facts, people. These four suspects have tried to tell so many stories and lies to protect themselves from the inevitable, which is charges. But 2 down, 2 more to go. None of them are going to escape the truth. They took a part in Michael's abduction and murder. Justice will be served, and that's why we're here. We're here to give support. We're here for justice. These are the 4 people accused and named suspects of Michael Vaughan's abduction and murder. That was updated January 2025. Michael Duke is the prosecuting attorney, and he put out a statement a while back ago that says that he will be going after all individuals. And that is Sarah, Stacey, Adrien, and Brandon. Please continue to pray for justice as the preliminary hearing comes. Please continue to pray for Brandy, Tyler, and the rest of the family as they are going to be going through a lot of difficult things as the preliminary hearing starts, hearing a lot of things. Please just continue to pray and share Michael's beautiful face everywhere you can. Share this live, share other lives, share just his picture, tell his story, or even share on your social media that Stacey Wondra is being charged and that there's a preliminary hearing. I believe he's going to go down. And if you have any information, any tips at all, please call the Fruitland Police tip line at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Leave it up to the detectives to decide whether or not your tip is credible. Get it off your shoulders. You could think it's a rumor, and it could actually be a credible tip that helps the district attorney's office go after these suspects even harder. Doesn't matter what you think it is. If it's bothering you, you should probably be telling law enforcement. Again, the Fruitland Police tip line is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. I appreciate everybody coming. I really do. This is a very difficult time for the family. It's causing a lot of stress. You know, I can't even imagine what I would be going through. Just a really hard time, you guys. And when you listen to the probable cause or hear what's in the probable cause, you know, this is the kind of stuff they're going to be hearing in court. It's going to be difficult. It damn sure isn't going to be easy. Thank you guys so much for all of the prayers. Thank you for the super chat, Shannon. Shannon's asking, is he still with Misty again? Has she talked to you again? I have been in contact with Misty back and forth for a while. She wants to come up on the show and talk again. And I told her I would have her up here. I'm not sure when that's going to happen because we've got all of this stuff going on. But her and Brandon have broken up. They are no longer together. That could have changed from the last time I spoke to her a little over a week ago. But thank you so much for the super chat. You all know that we are about to dance in our chairs. Thank you very much, Shannon. Hit that thumbs up, get this out in the algorithm, please. And hit that notification bell. And I'm going to be doing quite a few lives. So please, please hit the notification bell if you want to be notified. If you're having problems getting notifications, click the notification button a few times and then make sure that the notification is on, or you can unsubscribe and then resubscribe. Sometimes that helps. I don't really put out my thumbnails and my information until like a day or two before my lives because life is going really fast over here. So you can always just check over here, see if I've got any lives going on. But yeah. Mama B in the house. Darlene is here. Thank you guys for coming in. I really appreciate you guys being here. Red Bull Girl is here. Good to see you. Okay. So, you know, we have some choices here. And the choices are, this probable cause talks about a few things. It talks about like the bluff near the Wondra's house. I have footage of the bluff. It talks about the walking man in the neighborhood, which we all know is Brandon Shirtliff. I have a picture of that. Do we want to put up information that I have while we're going through the probable cause affidavit, or do we just want to go through the probable cause affidavit? I have pulled up pictures. I have pulled up videos. There's not many of them. I will probably go back and forth a little bit. Diane Summerhalder, thank you for being here, hon. Appreciate you. The only one out of everything that I have pulled up is the bluff video that I have. I think it's a few minutes long. But other than that, it's just pictures. So I'm just trying to decide, like, do I want to go off a little bit and show a few things while I'm talking about the probable cause, or do we just want to go through it? So I think I'll decide as we go through and just see how that goes. You guys let me know in chat if that's something that you guys want to see. Right now, we're going to go over, because I want to get right into the information. I want to go over this letter that Stacey Wondra, well, this is what Stacey does. He writes everything in handwriting, and it's a court document. This is it here. This was dated the 10th day of January of 2025 by Stacey James Wondra. Let's get into it. Let's see what it says. Plaintiff Stacey James Wondra versus defendant United States of America, State of Idaho, at Ada County Jail. On December 30th, 2024, I, Stacey James Wondra, plaintiff, had pressed the emergency distress button 6 times repeatedly due to a medical emergency. I was having due to excessive bleeding coming from the inside of the umbilical region. Upon no Ada County Jail personnel responding, I asked an inmate in the cell next to where I was to press his distress button to get the jail personnel's attention. Upon arrival of jail personnel, I had learned that the emergency distress button had not been working for well over 2 weeks time frame prior to my arrival in CCU B Tank on December 26, 2024. As of January 9, 2025, the emergency distress button is still inactive. On January 2nd, 2025, I, the plaintiff, Stacey James Wondra, had pressed the emergency distress button 10 times in total due to extreme amount of pain I have been having in my left side of my mouth due to an abscess tooth that has now and is still causing excruciating pain in my entire left side of my mouth upon no jail personnel. And then it moves on here. Wow, Stacey. Upon no jail personnel arriving, I again asked another inmate located in the cell next to B Tank, at which point jail personnel came only to still learn the emergency distress button is still inactive. I am filing this lawsuit for the following: violation of my 8th Amendment, which states I have the right to be free from any and all cruel and unusual punishment. Ada County jails lack and extensive inadequate medical care, failing to abide by state and federal code and regulations by not having a fully functional operable emergency distress button, pain and suffering and mental anguish due to the extensive amount of problems and issues relating to the basis of my claim. I, Stacey Wondra, demand that $750,000 be awarded to suffice any future long and short-term encumbrances. Dated January 10th, 2025. Well, Stacey, your pain and your suffering, your 8th Amendment right. Tell me, Stacey, tell me this. How much do you think that you and the other 3 suspects should give the Vaughan family for their pain and suffering? Hey, Callie. Hey, the real ICU. Thank you for the court docs. She's actually the one who found this letter by Stacey a few months back. I just forgot that I had it. Like, what is pain and suffering actually worth? I mean, no amount of money can ever get rid of the pain and suffering that the Vaughan family has been through. And once again, here's Stacey. Hey, Callie. Good to see you, hun. Hey, Eve. Good to see you, too. Here is Stacey once again trying to file a lawsuit, trying to get $750,000. Remember his last lawsuit? He was going to try to sue me, Josh, who was it? Justin, and several other creators because we were all, defamation of character. And it's like, go ahead, sue me. Go ahead, Stacey, sue me. Prove that anything that I have said is untrue, which will force Stacey into court with me for the lawsuit, and he's going to have to explain why I say that he is somebody with knowledge or may even be the one who killed Michael Vaughan or who abducted him. Come on now. it's just another ridiculous letter, another ridiculous little, a lawsuit that I'm sure the court is just sitting there laughing because he never files it correctly. He never serves anybody correctly. I mean, even in the lawsuit when he was going to sue all of us creators, none of us ever got anything. So anyway, that is that. And I want to go over a criminal complaint that I found because I don't know if I've gone over this before. And in this criminal complaint, I think it kind of goes with the probable cause affidavit. Yeah, Kelly, always the victim, right? He always plays victim. And, like it's even worth, even if it's a legit lawsuit, like $750,000, he's always going to the extreme. So what this is a criminal complaint. Count 1, Part 1, murder in the first degree, which is a felony. Count 2, Part 1, kidnapping in the second degree. Count 3, Part 1, destruction and or alteration and or concealment of evidence. Count 1, 3, Part 2, persistent violator. This is the state of Idaho, which is the plaintiff, versus Stacey James Wondra. This was filed June 25th of 2025. Personally appeared before me this 11th day of June 2025, Michael Duke of the Payette County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, who, being duly sworn, complains and says, okay, papers are stuck together. Hold up. What the heck? They are really stuck together here. Okay. That's what the first page says. And just to let everybody know, after I do a bunch of these lives, I mean, I don't right away, but I do usually start posting and putting up the court documents in my Facebook. It is Michael Vaughan, Case Revisited. Let me find it real quick. I'll put it in chat. This right here that I just added is the link to Michael Vaughan Case Revisited Facebook group, where I do post documents that I use here so that other people can read it, go through it, print it, do whatever it is that you want to do with it. I like to share my information because that way everybody knows, this is what it is. That's why I always have it up here on screen. But moving forward, count 1, part 1. The defendant, Stacey James Wondra, on or about 27th day of July, 2021, in the county of Payette, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, get that, with premeditation, and with malice, aforethought, kill and murder Michael Vaughan, a human being, and or did willingly, unlawfully, and deliberately kill and murder Michael Vaughan, a human being, in the... Hold on a second, I'm getting stuck on a word here. Perpetration of or in the attempt of a kidnapping, all of which is contrary to Idaho code, and then it lists the code, and against the power, peace, and dignity of the state of Idaho. I like the fact that they put in with premeditation, because we are finding out that from Adrien Lucienne's own words, he is saying he was set up to go to the Wandra's house. That means he wasn't picked up behind a garbage can like Sarah, Stacey, and they all claim. It was planned for him to come to the Wandra's house. Count 2, part 1. That the defendant, Stacey James Wondra, on or about 27th day of July 2021 in the County of Payette, State of Idaho, did willfully and without lawful authority seize and or confine and or lead and or take and or entice away Michael Vaughan with the intent to cause him to be secretly confined and or imprisoned and or detained against his will within the state of Idaho, all of which is contrary to Idaho code and against the power, peace, and dignity of the state of Idaho. Hey, Rogue, good to see you, hun. Baby Kisses is in the house. Thank you guys all for coming in. So here, once again, you guys, protect your mental health. And moderators, if you could, just trigger warning and chat. Mama, I know you're here. I know you're listening. We are going over the probable cause, and I know you know what's in it. Protect yourself, Mama, if you need to, okay? Count 3, part 1. That the defendant, Stacey James Wondra, on or between the 27th day of July 2021 and the 21st day of May 2025. So between July 27th of 2021 and May 21st of 2025 in the county of Payette and or state of Idaho did willfully destroy and or alter and or conceal a thing, to wit, a body and or DNA evidence, knowing that the thing or things were about to be produced, used, or discovered as evidence in a felony investigation or inquiry authorized by law, and with the intent to prevent such evidence from being produced, used, or discovered, all of which is contrary to Idaho code and against the power, peace, and dignity of the state of Idaho. Saying that Stacey Wondra destroyed evidence. This is where his destroyed evidence comes in. Destruction of evidence, which is his third charge. Under Your Scars, thank you so much for the super chat. Let me throw it up here and we'll give it a read. Thank you for the updates and keeping us informed. You're appreciated. Justice for Michael Vaughan. Thank you so very much for the kind words, Under Your Scars. I really appreciate that. Now everybody knows we got to do a little dance for the super chat. I really do appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you. So getting rid of the evidence. In here, I mean, it is saying destroy and or alter, concealing a thing, a body, for one, DNA evidence, knowing that those things were going to be used as evidence as they found it, but they couldn't produce some of which because Stacey and, you know, the others got rid of evidence. Let's move to the third page here. We're almost done with this one. Again, this is a criminal complaint that was filed by the district attorney's office, the prosecutor in this case. Count 1, 3, part 2. That the defendant, Stacey James Wondra, was previously convicted of the following felonies. I don't know if you guys have heard this before. Issuing a check with insufficient funds. On or about the 4th day of June 2020, under the name Stacey James Wondra, the defendant was convicted of the felony of issuing a check with insufficient funds in the county of Canyon, state of Idaho, so Canyon County, false statement during firearms transaction. On or about the 4th day of April 2019, under the name of Stacey James Wondra, the defendant was convicted of a felony of false statement during firearms transactions in the federal court for the state of Montana, all of which is contrary to Idaho code and against the power, peace, and dignity of the state of Idaho. So this count 1, 3, part 2 is his persistent violator charge, which basically is exactly what it says. He is a persistent violator. Stacey has been in and out of jail and prison for years. As soon as he was let out of that facility, the facility in Montana, when he was a young teenager, when the state shut it down, as soon as he was released from there, and that state of Montana didn't make sure that he went to another boys' home or to another facility to be taken care of, because that's why his adopted mom put him in there, Stacey was let out on the streets. Had Montana not let him out onto the streets and had put him somewhere else, Michael could very well still be here. But he wasn't. He was put out onto the streets, and immediately he was committing crimes, going to jail, and eventually ending up in prison a few times for parole violation after the fact of his firearm charges. That's why he was sitting in there and didn't get released till October 30th, and then immediately was arrested on October 31st for Michael's abduction and murder, which is exactly what's going to happen to Sarah. She's supposed to get out October 27th, 2026, but there's a hold on her, and as soon as she's released, she goes right back into custody of the state of Idaho and Payette County to be charged. Randy has a question for Brandon Shirtliff. Brandon Shirtliff, hey, do you and your mom watch together? Just curious. I'll be seeing y'all. Yeah, because Brandon is doing DoorDash, living at his mom's house. His mom doesn't really let him go anywhere or do anything. She's, telling him what he can and can't do, even though he's a grown man. But he can't find a real job because he is a suspect in a murdered and abducted child's case, in Michael's case. And I bet you they do sit together and watch everything, because she does nothing but protect Brandon. And charges will come on them, just like Stacey, just like Sarah. The dominoes are falling. Okay, so now we're going to get into the probable cause. This last document was 3 pages long with very short wording. This is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages long. I've highlighted what I believe to be important in these documents, and to also give me reference to talk about things that have been said and whatnot. I can't believe DoorDash hired him. You have to apply for DoorDash in an app, and all they do is make sure that you have a driver's license and stuff. I don't even think that they do like a criminal background check or whatever. Like, I was just driving for Spark for Walmart to deliver groceries. I've done Instacart before, so it's not much, and I'm not surprised that that was the only place that would, you know, pay him any money, because they probably still don't know who he is. If they know he is here, then why not arrest him yet? I don't know. I don't know why they haven't arrested Adrien and Brandon. I know law enforcement knows where they are. So, you know, the police know what they're doing. I have all the faith in the world that they have a plan. And, you know, we're not privy to that information. We're not privy to know why. If I disappear during any time of this, you know why. My sisters are in here to let me know when it's okay to come back. I love you, Sam. Yes, babe. I do know why. This probable cause affidavit is very sensitive. Like I've told everybody, please protect your mental health. It does go into detail about what happened to Michael, what Stacey says happened to Michael, and it is horrific to listen to. The details are not good. So thank you, sissies, for being here, as always, to keep an eye out here, to be here to support, and, you know, having Brandy's back like you always do. I can't understand why they let Brandon out. Yeah, I really wish they would have, you know, taken him too. But you know what? Fruitland has a plan. You know they do. You know, we were all wondering why no one else had been arrested, and the whole entire time, Sarah had already had a parole hearing, and there was already a hold, and there was already a probable cause affidavit written on her too back in June. And the probable cause affidavit on Stacey Wondra was written back all the way in June. So for the past 6 months, we've been asking why aren't they doing this, and this? In the background, they're all working hard. Okay. So now I'm getting into this probable cause affidavit. Yes, we have gone over it before, as I have read it many, many times. I find every single time I read it, I find something that I have not seen before. Sorry, I just got a message. I like to check that when I'm here. Just in case any new information's coming in. And nope, it's just the pharmacy letting me know I've got some medicine ready to be picked up. Okay. Yeah, every single time I go through this probable cause affidavit, I find something new and go, what? Really? And the same thing happened today. I printed up a new probable cause for myself because my other one had highlights and scribbles and everything. It was all messed up. And I had to print up a new one. And as I'm going through and I'm highlighting and I'm looking and I'm reading and I'm realizing what I've been told, or what I have seen, or what I have read, or Stacey's confession, or, you know, whether it was Misty, Brandon, or one of their friends, or something that I've been told from somebody that's talked to Sarah or Stacey, or whatever. I'm just like, oh my God. because even though it's the probable cause affidavit, if you really look deep into it, you can see the evidence that they're going to use. And this isn't even a discovery of evidence. Plus, I'm sure they're going to have more evidence, of course, in the discovery. It was over 7,000 pages long, from what I understand. That's why Stacey Wondra's attorney is like, hello, I need to, I need some time to go over this evidence, please. Can you give me till March? Yeah, for a case that doesn't have a lot of evidence, from what some people say, why would the attorney need extra time? All right, so I will be getting into this. I'm going to try to keep an eye on chat. I'll talk about things as I'm going through the paragraphs and stuff, and some things that I have highlighted. So this is the state of Idaho, the plaintiff versus Stacey James Wondra. It's the probable cause affidavit. Detective Juanita Kelleher, the undersigned, being first duty sworn on oath, deposes and says, I am a peace officer employed by Fruitland Police Department. The defendant is alleged to have committed the following crimes between the dates of approximately July 27th through 2025, or July 27th, 2021 through 2025. First degree murder, second degree kidnapping, destruction of or concealment of evidence, all of which are felons. Number 3 here, the crime were not committed in my presence. Number 4, I believe that there is probable cause to believe the defendant committed such crimes because of the following facts. Note, you must state the source of all information provided below. State what you observed and what you learned from someone else identifying that person. So here we go. On July 27th, 2021, neighbors reported seeing 5-year-old Michael Joseph Vaughan between approximately 6:15 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. in the area of Michael's home and nearby residences on South Arizona and Fruitland, Payette County, Idaho. Of course, this says like 18:30 hours, Michael's names redacted, addresses redacted. I kind of filled everything in. I just want to let you guys know that. Michael knocked on some of his neighbors' doors, attempting to play with neighbors or in their yards. Michael was told to return home by all of the neighbors he contacted. At approximately 6:45 to 6:50 p.m., Tyler Vaughan noticed his 5-year-old son, Michael Joseph Vaughan, was missing from their home located at, redacted, in Fruitland, Payette County, Idaho. Tyler began searching his home and property for Michael. Tyler called 911 to report his son missing approximately 7:21 p.m., and the Fruitland Police Department responded to the area. Through interviews, searches, and other collaborating evidence, all of Michael's family and household members have been determined to not have any knowledge of Michael's current location, nor were they involved in Michael's disappearance. All of Michael's neighbors on Southwest 9th Street in Arizona have also been thoroughly investigated, searched, and interviewed, and have been determined by law enforcement to not have any knowledge of or involvement in Michael's disappearance. The surrounding area was searched extensively, and Michael has never been found. So this is the first page. And the theory that Michael's parents or neighbors being involved with Michael's disappearance is stated clearly here. Not having any involvement or knowledge of Michael's location, nor were they involved in Michael's disappearance. And there are rumors, there are people out there that want to point fingers at neighbors and the parents, number one. And then here you have Michael gone approximately between 6:15 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. Dad realizes approximately 6:45 to 6:50 p.m. that Michael, is missing. And at 7:21, Tyler calls the police department, and they respond, and they come out, and they search. Okay. Here is the second page. Of the probable cause affidavit. Live scent Canine teams searched the surrounding neighborhoods August 2nd through the 3rd, 2021, using a pair of Michael's shoes for Michael's scent. Out of approximately 300 homes, canine handlers reported the dogs only showed interest in one house located at 1102 Red Wing in Fruitland. This is the home of Stacey and Sarah Wondra. A canine handler also reported that canine Banshee showed interest in the area of the corner of Meadow Lark and Red Wing Street. The canine showed interest at the intersection and then headed straight to the fence and front door of the Wandra's residence. This is the first paragraph, and I want to go over a couple of things. These are trained scent canine dogs. And out of 300 homes in that neighborhood, they hit on Sarah and Stacey's house. And when it talks about Banshee, the canine dog, hitting on the corner of Meadowlark and Red Wing Street, that is where Dorothy Starkey, who is mentioned in this probable cause affidavit later, the Wandra's next door neighbor, said she saw Michael on a tricycle on Meadowlark and Red Wing Street. The tricycle is also talked about in this probable cause. And the dogs hit at the fence and the front door of the Wandra's residence. I don't know whereabouts on the fence that the dogs hit, but since this probable cause affidavit also talks about the fact that Michael was brought back from Kuna the next day, if they had buried him right away, according to Sarah and Stacey, that burial site was somewhere along that fence. So I just want to point that out. But out of 300 houses, they hit on the Wandra's house. Moving on October 2nd, 2021, Canine Banshee tracked scent down to a tree over the edge of the bluff off of Southwest 8th and Three Rivers Way. Canine Banshee was determined to track the scent into the thorny bushes under the tree despite the thorns. And a discarded child stroller was located deep in those thorny bushes. On August 5th, 2021, a pink Big Flyer tricycle was located behind the Bluffs sign at Three Rivers Way and Southwest 8th Street. During a search of the same area the day prior, the tricycle was not there. Jim Smith, who lives in the Three Rivers subdivision, later reported that he had found the tricycle over the bluff under a tree next to a child stroller. Jim said that he took it home to use one of the wheels for another project, but then discarded it after not removing the wheel as planned. Jim said he left it behind the bluff sign for neighborhood kids to use. Above, it says that Banshee tracked scent down to a tree over the edge of the bluff and only found a child's stroller. Jim Smith reported that he found the tricycle over the bluff under a tree next to a child's stroller. So when Banshee went down and only found the child stroller, it was because Jim had already been in those bushes and took the tricycle out. But when Jim didn't use the wheel as planned, he put it behind the bluff sign. This is the bluff sign off of 8th and hold on a second. Three Rivers subdivision. This is a picture up close. So this is what the bluff sign looks like. Jim brought it back, put it behind this sign. Mama says they used his gravedigger shoes. Michael loved the gravedigger monster truck. My grandson got to ride in the gravedigger at the Clark County Fair this last summer, Brandy. He got to ride in it and he was so friggin' excited. And he's also obsessed with the gravedigger monster truck. Like, he collects all the little Hot Wheels and everything. It's so cute. And I don't know if you guys want to, but we can real quick. I'm not sure how long this is. Let's just look though. I have a picture, or this is a video of the bluff, and I'm sorry it's up and down. It's not side to side. I didn't take the video. Someone that lives near there in Fruitland, Idaho did. Where that arrow and the circle is right there is where the bluff sign is. This is going west on 8th Street, coming into the subdivisions where Brandy Vaughan and the Vaughan family lived on the left-hand side of the road, and the Wondras lived on Red Wing Street back into the other subdivision on the right-hand side of the road. This is the bluff sign where Jim said he put the tricycle back. That's still on the corner there of Three Rivers Way and 8th Street. And now we're going down to the bluff, so you guys can actually see the bluff and what it is. It's a very steep ravine. It would be very hard for anybody to get down in there. If you can look back in there now, you can see the freeway going back and forth, how big the field is. You can kind of get a good idea about, I mean, like, it's going down. And this is another view there off of that bluff, giving a view of just the field and the Snake River there that runs underneath that freeway. here is another, like, that's how deep this bluff is here. I mean, it's pretty deep. And if you look up, that's the fence line going into that bluff subdivision. Just want to give you guys a perspective of this bluff, because it is talked about in the probable cause affidavit. This tricycle actually plays a huge role in Michael Vaughan's abduction. And I believe, let's see, just moving forward some, because I don't want to spend too much time here. This is the bottom of that bluff. That's the freeway there. Hot Mess took this video. She's just showing that that's the freeway that goes over the Snake River. That's in that field. She's actually down in there. And this is where I want to show you guys. The housing development that's up top, that's the Bluffs, subdivision. Then you can see the road coming down into this field. From the bottom of the field up, that is the bluff that they are saying the tricycle was down there under a tree. In some, I guess, Banshee was determined, because this dog Banshee had Michael's scent. He knew something had to be down in there, and he got in there, and there was a stroller, but the tricycle had been in there. And Dorothy Starkey says that she saw Michael on this tricycle. That's what's so important about this tricycle being down in the bluff. I think there is, wait just a second. This is the going over the Snake River, where they search for Michael as best as they can. And this is just a little map of where the bluff was in the neighborhood. So that's the bluff. Now back to the probable cause affidavit. On the second page here, Kim would later report to law enforcement that she had seen the tricycle in the Wondra's garage during a yard sale in the spring of 2021. Kim was able to describe the layout of the Wondra's garage and where she saw the tricycle on a stack of boxes. The described stack of boxes was still there during a later search warrant of the Wondra's residence in the garage. So this is important because we also hear Stacey Wondra talking with Chris McDonough in his confession footage that was released. Chris McDonough asked him where the tricycle was, and Stacey's exact words were, "It should be on the stack of boxes." And what is this saying? Kim would later report to law enforcement that she had seen the tricycle in the Wondra's garage, saw the tricycle on a stack of boxes. So you have a witness who saw this tricycle in the spring of 2021 before Michael was abducted, and Stacey Wondra himself describing that the tricycle should be on the stack of boxes, just like Kim said she saw the bike on top of the boxes. Fancy Clancy, thank you so much for coming in. Okay, and moving on, Dorothy Starkey, who was present at, and then her address in Fruitland, reported on July 29th, 2021, so 2 days after Michael was abducted, that she saw Michael riding a big wheel tricycle at the corner of Red Wing Street and Meadowlark Avenue on July 27th, as she was either entering or leaving the neighborhood. Dorothy is seen on surveillance videos coming into the neighborhood westbound on Southwest 8th Street at 6:25 p.m. and left the neighborhood eastbound on Southwest 8th Street at 7:25 p.m. Other than Dorothy's report, there are no other reports of Michael being seen anywhere other than Southwest 9th Street and his next door neighbor's house on Arizona on the date of his disappearance. Again, what's important about this statement is Dorothy sees Michael on the big wheel, which is the same big wheel in the Bluff and the same big wheel that Banshee hit. Well, Banshee hit on it when it was in the bushes down the bluff. And hold on. So Canine scent dog hit on Meadowlark and Red Wing Street on the corner, the exact corner that Dorothy Starkey is saying she saw Michael riding a big wheel. And his scent is also down the bluff, where the tricycle had been before Jim took it. Video surveillance was gathered from security cameras in the neighborhood Michael disappeared from, as well as neighboring areas. Michael is never seen on any of the surveillance footage that was obtained. There are no CCTV cameras back in the neighborhood in these subdivisions. There are none. The only CCTV cameras are as you are entering 8th Street, coming in west or going out east at the intersection at the very east end of 8th Street. And that's where they saw Stacey Wondra sitting in the splash pad parking lot, which is also in this probable cause affidavit. But that is where the CCTV cameras are. That is why Michael is not seen on camera ever being abducted or anything. When Stacey says, why didn't Michael get seen? Or why another creator says, well, why didn't Michael get seen if there's footage, and you can see back in the neighborhood? Well, you can't. You cannot. Stacey Wondra is captured on surveillance footage driving a white Lexus and pulling into the parking area of the splash pad in the neighborhood off Southwest 8th Street at 3:23 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. Stacey is seen exiting the driver's door, walking around to the passenger side of the car, and appears to be testing the exterior door handle to see if it's locked. Stacey then walked back around the driver's side of the vehicle where he got into the driver's seat and exited the area onto Southwest 8th Street at 3:24 p.m., 1 minute after arriving. Stacey Wondra said that he pulled into the splash pad because while he was driving, his shoe flew down to the floorboard of the car and he couldn't reach it because he was so big. So he had to get out of the car and go around, open up the door, and get his chew out of the floorboard. But in the probable cause affidavit, it's saying that the surveillance footage is seeing Stacey get out and walk around to the side of the passenger side of the car, and he's messing with the handle to see if it's locked. He never opens the door to get his can of chew. And why is he checking to see if it's locked? What would be the reason for checking the door? That is just so sus to me. Interesting that it would have been confusing to me. And he's, and also saying there at 3:23 p.m. to 3:24 p.m. when Stacey says that it was way earlier in the afternoon when he left and stopped at that splash pad. He tries to put himself there just shortly after 1 p.m. This is over 2.5 hours later. Thank you for coming in, Chaos Mama. So just very suspicious. And again, captured on surveillance. And let me just clear something up, okay? Surveillance footage cannot be disproved, challenged, or contradicted. It's fact. They have it. They can not prove otherwise. Period. And moving on, video surveillance shows an adult male walking in the area of Three Rivers Way at 6:08 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. And the same male is captured walking in the area of the neighborhood splash pad at 6:18 p.m. The last image of the male is captured at 6:28 p.m. as he walked through the wooded area to the west, back toward the area in which the Wondras lived. Brandon Shirtliff was identified in 2022 as being this person and told detectives, Brandon told detectives during an interview that the surveillance video captured him as he was walking and searching for a missing child on the date that Michael disappeared. This video captured Brandon walking prior to Michael being reported missing. Brandon reported he was living with the Wondras on that date. So again, in case nobody knows or hasn't seen it before, this is the picture of Brandon Shirtliff walking in the neighborhood. According to this, he was walking near the splash pad, or walking in the area of the splash pad at 6:18 p.m. There was another image of him captured at 6:28 p.m. And Brandon Shirtliff said he was looking for a missing kid. But these times, 6:08, 6:18, 6:28, how can he be looking for missing Michael if Tyler didn't call 911 until 7:21, as is what stated on the first page of this probable cause affidavit? Make that make sense. Brandon was not walking around that neighborhood looking for Michael Vaughan. Matter of fact, he's walking around at the same time Michael was wandering around the neighborhood, because on the first page of the probable cause affidavit, it says at approximately 6:15 to 6:30 p.m. is when Michael was wandering around, between 6:15 and 6:30. And here you have Brandon Shirtliff walking around, captured 6:08 p.m., 6:18 p.m., 6:28 p.m. Brandon was walking around at the time that Michael was wandering around the neighborhood. He was not looking for Michael. He couldn't have been, because Michael hadn't even been reported missing yet. So we're moving on to page 3 now. On August 1st of 2021, just 6 days after Michael was abducted, that's not in here, but on August 1st, 2021, just 6 days after, Fruitland police contacted the residents at 1102 Red Wing in Fruitland. On their initial search of the residence, they located Adrien Lucienne hiding in a closet. Residents of the home on that date and on July 27, 2021 were identified as married couple Stacey and Sarah Wondra and their sublets Brandon Shirtliff and Adrien Lucienne. All 4 were interviewed on August 1st, 2021. All of them were interviewed 6 days after Michael was abducted. And we didn't know that law enforcement, had any interest in anybody yet, right? And here's Adrien Lucienne, this supposed badass or whatever, or he claims to be, hiding in a closet. This 6'3", 6'4" dude, huge, tall guy. Well, not huge, but super tall guy. Can you even imagine? Like, he's just hiding in the closet, okay? Adrien was vague in his statements and wouldn't commit to a solid statement. He also refused to provide his social security number for identification confirmation. He provided Stacey's phone number as his own and concealed his real phone number from law enforcement. And we all know, like, Adrien's been pretty much in trouble since what? His mother passed away? Or maybe even a little bit before that. And he does not want to give up his information. On August 21st, 2021, so this is 21 days later, Sarah reported that on July 27th, 2021, she and Stacey slept in until noon. Sarah said they left their residence around 5 p.m. to tow a vehicle to Cuna. Sarah and Stacey denied they were home around 6:30 on July 27th of 2021. So Sarah's being spoken to again by police August 21st of 2021. She's lying about the time they went to Cuna. It's really fascinating to me to see that law enforcement really honed in early and knew what they were doing early on. Cell phone tower data and surveillance footage show Sarah, Stacey, Adrien, and Brandon were in the area of their neighborhood at the time of Michael's disappearance. Sarah, Adrien, and Brandon returned to Fruitland, verified by surveillance, in Sarah's blue Toyota Corolla at 5:08 p.m., only to leave again 4 minutes later at 5:12 p.m. The Toyota came back into the neighborhood again 44 minutes later at 5:56 p.m. And again, we're talking cell phone tower data and surveillance footage cannot be disproved, challenged, or contradicted. It's a fact. And it says that it shows Sarah, Stacey, Adrien, and Brandon were all in the area of the neighborhood at the time of Michael's disappearance. So this whole Adrien wasn't around. He was staying the night with his mom. All of that. They know that these 4 suspects were in the subdivision or in that area when Michael was abducted. Surveillance footage shows Sarah driving the maroon GMC pickup on July 27th, 2021, as she drove out of the neighborhood at 7:08 p.m. Stacey has been identified as the front passenger, and Brandon was the driver's side rear passenger. Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon's phone data showed they were co-located as they left the neighborhood at 7:08 p.m. and drove to Kuna, Idaho. And we know Stacey and Brandon have both said that Sarah was driving. The surveillance footage says that Sarah was driving. Stacey says he was riding up front, so did Brandon. And Brandon talks about being in the back seat. Adrien's phone did not provide any location data during the evening of July 27, 2021. However, Adrien took a selfie, a photo, in the guest bathroom at the Wondра's residence at 7:26 p.m., just 22 minutes after Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon left. So Adrien is left alone in the house as Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon leave to go to Kuna to pick up Brandon's car and tow it back. Brandon's taking selfies of himself after Michael's been abducted, after god-awful things that this probable cause affidavit says happened to Michael while he was in the Wondра's home. He's taking a shower and taking selfies of himself. Wondра's maroon GMC pickup truck is captured on surveillance footage returning to their Fruitland neighborhood at 11:22 p.m. on July 27th, 2021, pulling or towing a silver Mercedes. Let's talk about this time frame. It takes 52 minutes to get from Fruitland to Kuna. And if you take the long way back from Kuna to Fruitland, it takes about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Give or take 2 hours to get there and come back. But they left at 7:08 p.m. and didn't return until 11:22 p.m. That is 4 hours, give or take. So what were they doing for 2 hours? What were they doing for 2 hours? It doesn't take 2 hours to back up the GMC up to Brandon's vehicle, do your tow straps, do all of that stuff, hook it up, and go. They spent 2 hours at Brandon's mom's house. Following Michael's disappearance, Sarah had a distinct change in behavior. Following Michael's disappearance, Sarah began to stand along the highway near Love's gas station in Ontario, Oregon, with signs stating to repent for your sins and that the end of time was near. I mean, we've kind of gone over all of Sarah's crazy ass TikToks and everything else she did. I found this. It says that Sarah's social media post on TikTok and Facebook also changed drastically to religion and asking for forgiveness of her sins. Prior to Michael's abduction, Sarah had posted only approximately 11 videos on TikTok over 3 years. Following Michael's abduction, Sarah posted approximately 329 videos from September 15, 2021 through December 4th, 2021. In 4 months' time, Sarah went from posting 11 videos in 2 years to 329 videos in 4 months. In TikTok videos Sarah made testimony statements regarding her involvement in criminal behaviors and stated that she had broken all 10 of the commandments. It should be noted that thou shalt not kill is one of the 10 commandments. Sarah also alleged in her videos that it did not matter what sin she had committed because God had forgiven her for all of them. Michael's missing persons flyer can be seen on her refrigerator in the background in some of these videos. There is the picture of Michael on the refrigerator, a screenshot. This is from one of her TikTok videos. And then there is this TikTok video.
I mean, I've committed so much sin that I know I hung Jesus on the cross with my sin, which that makes me a murderer because I killed the Lord God on a tree. I mean,
she says that it makes her a murderer because she hung Jesus on a cross. She basically calls herself a murderer. And we all kind of know that goes in with the fact that, you know, Jesus died for our sins on the cross. I get all of that, but that's just one really weird TikTok. I have videos of the rest of her TikToks, but I mean, I have like probably 15 minutes of them, and I'm not going to go through all of them right now. But I have before, if you guys want to go back and rewatch, I've done a few lives on Sarah and I show quite a few of her TikToks. There are some she's just, oh my God, she talks so strangely. She's writing all over herself. She talks about holding these signs. She's writing on t-shirts. You know, she really done lost her shit, in my opinion. Ruby Slippers, hello, good to have you, hun. Back to the probable cause. Sarah was interviewed again by law enforcement on November 15th, 2021. This is 4 months later after Michael's abduction, and sounds to be like her third interview with the police. Stacey was also interviewed after being confronted with the photo of her leaving the neighborhood on July 27, 2021, driving the GMC pickup at 7:08 p.m. Sarah changed her story and said she was driving the GMC to get Brandon's Mercedes-Benz from Cuna to tow it back to Fruitland. Sarah said the trip to Cuna to get the car had not been previously planned and that it was Stacey who wanted to get the car at the time and date. Sarah said she stopped on Southwest 8th and South Arizona on the way out of the neighborhood to input the address into the GPS. Well, Sarah also spoke with PJ Vision another YouTube creator, and PJ Vision played that recording, and Sarah Wondra said that she pulled over to the side of the road to adjust the mirror on the truck. So she's contradicting herself there. Sarah said she drove to Cuna, which is Brandon's mother's home. It is worth noting Brandon was in the truck with them when they entered the GPS coordinates to go to Brandon's mother's house, and that Sarah and Brandon's cell phone data showed them at the residence earlier that day. So here's Sarah saying she had to put Brandon's mom's address into the GPS, but why? Brandon's in the back seat. He could tell Sarah where to go, and she'd already been over to Brandon's mom's house. So why did she need direction? Sarah said Brandon's mother, Tina Muriel, was out of town. Sarah said Tina did not allow Brandon to have people in her home when she was not there. So Sarah and Stacey parked down the road, and Brandon used a back gate on the south side to enter Tina's residence so that her doorbell camera did not capture him there. Sarah reported that while towing the car back to Fruitland, the tow strap broke. How can you tow their Mercedes back if you're parking the truck down the road? Make that make sense. Bet when she was doing that, she thought she could use it as a defense, and that is not the case because Idaho does not allow it. Her crazy, using her crazy, no, she can't use her crazy in Idaho. Sarah and Stacey Wondra sold their phones, lost or sold their vehicles, and got rid of their furniture shortly after Michael went missing. Sarah was asked about changing her phones following Michael's abduction. Sarah provided 2 reasons. Sarah said they sold their phones because she and Stacey were splitting up, and Sarah said they sold their phones because a demon told her to. Sarah was still paying on the phones that she sold. Sarah was asked about her Facebook post and provided the following responses. I literally had like a demon tell me that I need to leave my husband. I literally deleted all of my pictures. I have no idea of what my passwords are. We had a fight. My husband and I had to sell our phones, and we had to get new phones. And I can't access any of my stuff. So I do have Facebook, just don't have access to it right now. When asked about the vehicles Sarah and Stacey have, Sarah said the GMC pickup was repossessed. Sarah said she told Stacey when they heard the repo guys were coming to take the truck, we are going to be the nicest repo they ever had today. Law enforcement was later told that the truck appeared to have been thoroughly cleaned prior to the repo. So here you have Sarah and Stacey Wondra selling phones, and then it says lost or sold their cars. How can you lose your car? How did they lose their car is my question. Sold a car, got rid of a car. They're getting rid of furniture. Shortly after Michael disappeared. And then she's using things like the demon told her to. And this word, I literally had like a demon tell me. I literally deleted all of my pictures. This I literally is a word used when someone is really trying to convince somebody of what they're saying. So to me, that's sus. And then Here's their pickup being repossessed, and law enforcement was later told that the truck appeared to have been thoroughly cleaned prior to the repo. And we have a guy that went up on Justin's panel that Justin and I spoke to about Sarah and Stacey, and he said, because he worked with Stacey, they did a lot of things together as far as work and stuff, that their cars were always incredibly filthy dirty with all kinds of like fast food stuff and everything all over the floors and everything else. So the fact that this truck had been thoroughly clean is like a huge red flag. And because also in this probable cause affidavit, it says that Michael was in a duffel bag in the back of that truck. And that would be the reason to thoroughly cleaning it. Following the interview on November 15, 2021, Brandon reported Sarah and Stacey contacted him and told him that they were re-interviewed by about Michael's abduction. Brandon said Stacey suggested Brandon come over to their place and create an alibi or write a letter on behalf of Sarah and Stacey saying they were not involved in Michael's abduction. That is just crazy to me. We've got 4 suspects, not just 2, not just Sarah, not just Stacey. So why would Brandon be saying that they want him to write a letter? I mean, why didn't he have Stacey and Sarah write him a letter saying that he didn't have anything to do with Michael's abduction? Tina Muriel, Brandon Shirtliff's mother, was interviewed by law enforcement. Tina reported that Brandon's behavior changed after he lived with the Wondras. Tina explained that Brandon became more depressed and withdrawn, spending more time playing video games and smoking Mary Jane. Tina would not tell law enforcement where Brandon was or what his phone number was at the time. So here you have Tina Muriel, Brandon's mom, saying basically it was, the Wondra's fault that he's acting this way. But she does say he was withdrawn and depressed, which is huge, after he left the Wondra's house, which I'm not even sure how long Brandon stayed at the Wondra's house after Michael was abducted. But he was depressed and withdrawn. And then here you have Tina not even wanting to give law enforcement his phone number. Why? Why wouldn't she do that? Why wouldn't she cooperate? If she fully 100% believed that her son had nothing to do with Michael's abduction, wouldn't she have just given up the phone number and said, yeah, here it is, go ahead and call him, right? But she wouldn't. She's protecting him by not giving law enforcement the number. Let me take a look over here real quick, and I'm taking a drink. Reading makes your mouth dry. Okay. Let's see. Coming in late is Minky. No problem. That's an interesting detail. Did Sarah or Stacey mention that it would be the cleanest repo? What it says about the repo that she said, didn't say the cleanest. She said, we're going to be the nicest repo they ever had today. Like they're glad that they're coming and repoing the truck, pretty much. Most people are pissed off when they get their truck repoed, right? Sounds like she was just saying she was glad. Yeah, and cleanest repo, right? Because they thoroughly cleaned it. Should have stopped listening to those demons before she took Michael. Sarah Wondra cut us some slack. Okay, I get lost going through chat when I don't know what everybody's conversations are. Exactly, Sam. I believe she knows something and she's not saying. I do too. I believe Kay and Kay, which is Sarah's mom, and Brandon Shirtliff's mom, Tina Muriel, I think both those moms know. I think if Stacey Wondra's mom knew, she'd be the first to come tell law enforcement. I really do. I think that woman is straight up, because she flat out told Stacey, like, if you don't start talking and you don't start telling the truth, I'm never talking to you again. Yeah. But I believe it. I mean, why wouldn't Tina Muriel give out Brandon's phone number because if you have faith in your child and you don't think that they've done anything wrong, why wouldn't you cooperate with police? Moving forward, Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother, was interviewed and shown a picture of the tricycle described above. Kay claims she found the tricycle in some bushes prior to Michael's abduction. The bushes that Kay described are near where Mr. Smith found the tricycle just after Michael's abduction. Kay said that would be the reason her DNA would be on the tricycle. Kay said that after all that effort, she left it at the intersection of Three Rivers Way and Southwest 8th Street. Kay was 73 years old in July of 2021, and the bushes were difficult to get to. So here you have her saying that her DNA is on this tricycle. That would be why she found it in the bushes, and that she left it on the intersection of Three Rivers Way and Southwest 8th Street. But back in this affidavit, Jim, the man that found the tricycle deep down in the bushes, took it home. And here you're saying she found it in bushes. And he put it behind the bluff sign on Three Rivers Way and Southwest 8th, where she's saying she left the tricycle. When in all actuality, I've heard recordings of Kay saying that she found that tricycle long before Michael's abduction. And she put it in the garage because Sarah and Stacey shared their garage, and they would store things in their garage. So that goes right along with the fact that another witness came forward and said that she saw the tricycle in spring of 2021 before Michael's abduction on a stack of boxes. So here's Kay even protecting Sarah and not telling the whole truth here. Kay Ramsey also confirmed to law enforcement that Sarah and Stacey's dog had dug holes in the backyard of the Red Wing residence. Kay reported the dog had dug up what she later determined to be an ear of a green stuffed animal. Kay said she had thrown away the stuffed ear. Just remember this, because we're going to come back to this. Kay reported the dog dug up what she later determined to be the ear of a green stuffed animal. Kay said she threw it away. Kay Ramsey is alleged to have withheld information and or evidence in other criminal investigations involving Sarah in 2022. Then Kay intentionally concealed a firearm used in an aggravated assault in which Sarah was later convicted. The reason that Sarah Wondra is in prison now is for having this firearm, concealing it, hitting somebody over the head with it. That's why she's spending time in prison right now. Sarah Wondra hid that firearm over at Kay's house. And it wasn't until detectives told Kay that they were going to arrest her and put her in jail did she finally give up the firearm that was in her house that was hid. That's how far Kay went to protect Sarah then. She's going to go protect Sarah even further now. Now she's reading letters from Stacey to Sarah. Now she is doing things that she shouldn't be doing and hindering the investigation, in my opinion. When law enforcement met with Sarah on October 12th, 2022, get that date. When law enforcement met with Sarah on October 12th, 2022, this is 1 month prior to LE law enforcement digging up the Wondra's backyard before Stacey gives his confession. When law enforcement met with Sarah on October 12, 2022, Sarah said God told her he was going to help her find the boy. During the interview, at the first mention of Michael, Sarah became emotional and broke down crying in front of the detective. Sarah wrote a testimony and said that if law enforcement read it, they would locate Michael. Sarah suggested God had forgiven Hitler for his sins and that God redeemed Sarah for her sins. So there you're hearing that Sarah wrote out testimony a month prior to Stacey Wondra giving his confession to police and basically saying that if law enforcement read it, they would locate Michael. Christie told detectives prior to Sarah's arrest, April of 2022, on her gun charges, she made a statement about Stacey being involved in the abduction of 5-year-old boy. It doesn't mention Michael here. Christie said she made personal notes of their conversation. In June of 2022, there was a recorded jail phone call between Sarah and Christie where Sarah advised Stacey had been arrested. Christie asked if he had been charged with kidnapping of the 5-year-old boy. Sarah recanted her prior statements, claiming that Christie misunderstood her prior comments. Also mentioned was how Sarah's dog was digging large holes in the backyard. So here you have Sarah telling Christie at one point that Stacey was involved in Michael's abduction, and then she recants that statement, saying that Christie misunderstood it. But then there's mention of how Sarah's dog is digging large holes in the backyard. So even though she's recanting this whole thing about Stacey abducting Michael, she's worried about the dog digging in the backyard. Why? Why is Sarah worried about that? On November 5th, 2022, at 12:55 a.m. And remember, this is November 5th, 2022 at 12:55 a.m. Stacey contacted Fruitland Police and requested an interview. They spoke to Sarah October 12th. and he's wanting to talk to law enforcement and requested an interview November 5th of 2022. Requested an interview at the Washington County Jail. Stacey provided vague details about events surrounding Michael's abduction. Stacey said Sarah's religious beliefs and behaviors changes started within a couple of days of Michael's abduction. After Stacey's arrest for an unrelated incident, Stacey spoke of changing phones and or SIM cards to prevent law enforcement to follow or profile him. On November 10th, which is just 5 days later, 2022, Stacey again asked to speak with Fruitland police detectives. Stacey wanted a deal, the same offer that was given to Sarah in Michael Vaughan's case. Mama, if you're here, we are about to get into the details, so I'm just wanting to give you a little bit of warning. Please, everybody, we're getting into some very sensitive information here. So please protect your mental health. If this is anything that's going to bother you to the point where, you know, you're just not okay, feel free to leave and come back. Just want to give everybody a heads up. And Mama says, I barely remember that conversation. I tried to keep my composure. I knew he was lying every word he said. That's why I released that video. Yeah. Thank you, Callie, so much for putting up the trigger warning. Okay. Stacey admitted Michael had been in his house the night of Michael's abduction. Stacey admitted the tricycle had been in his garage where Kim had previously described seeing it. So you got two people seeing the tricycle that Michael has been seen on by Dorothy Starkey and where dogs have now hit on this tricycle in two different locations. Stacey then said that when he first saw Michael, Sarah was carrying Michael into their home. Stacey said Michael was put into a duffel bag to transport him out of their house and to Brandon's house in Cuna. Stacey said Sarah was frantic trying to figure out what to do, and Brandon interjected, I have a duffel bag. Stacey described Michael as crying, and to prevent him from moving or making noise, hold on one second, you guys. Hold on one second, you guys. I'm getting rid of some trolls. Sorry. Okay. Where was I? Brandon interjected, I have a duffel bag. Stacey described Michael as crying, and to prevent him from moving or making noise, Stacey described how Sarah taped Michael using duct tape. When asked who put Michael in the bag, Stacey said Brandon grabbed the bag and gave it to Sarah. Sarah picked up Michael as Adrien helped hold the sides of the bag open as they shoved Michael in the duffel bag. Stacey described Michael as wiggling, trying to get away. Stacey said he could see Michael in the bag with his knees bent up in the fetal position. While describing and demonstrating how Michael was taped and stuffed into the duffel bag in his living room, Stacey had a physical reaction and began violently vomiting. When asked if he was vomiting because of his chewing tobacco he was using, he indicated that he was throwing up because of the stress of talking about Michael. So here you have on November 5th, Stacey contacted Fruitland Police and requested an interview. On November 10th, he asked again to talk to Fruitland Police detectives. He also wanted a deal. He wanted the same offer that Sarah had been given. So I'm assuming when they talked to Sarah in October prior to this, that they, probably offered her some kind of deal to talk, because that's what he wanted, was a deal. And then he says that Sarah was carrying Michael in to their home. And that could have been his chance, Brandon's chance, and Adrien's chance to all pick up the phone, dial 911, and tell police what Sarah just did. And nobody did. Nobody left the house. And then this whole paragraph, Sarah was the one who duct taped. Brandon's the one who got the duffel bag. Sarah put Michael in the duffel bag. Adrien held the duffel bag open. Yes, this is in the probable cause, but this is also Stacey describing what happened. But Stacey just stood there and did absolutely nothing. Stacey's guilty. Stacey didn't do a damn thing. I don't believe that shit. Stacey's a friggin' monster, okay? I don't believe he didn't have anything to do with it. And if they can't charge Stacey for the actual murder or kidnapping, say they don't, okay? Say they don't have any evidence of that. They're definitely going to be able to put Stacey away for knowledge, because these are his own words. We've seen the confession footage, which we will be going over here soon. So this whole, I just stood there and watched this little boy get shoved into a duffel bag shit, no. Stacey, shut up. You aren't not guilty. Even if you stood there and just watched it, makes you a monster. But we all know you have more involvement. You just want to pin it off on everybody else like you didn't do a damn thing. Right? So here he is, giving up information and confessing, but here he is, probably the habitual liar that we all know he is, lying about what actually happened, causing very disturbing images, bad dreams, nightmares, sleepless nights for the Vaughan family as this probable cause affidavit is being read on YouTube without any kind of warning. And that's when we're all like, what? There's a probable cause affidavit? Where's that? What's this? What's that? As awful as it is, these are Stacey's words. And all I'm trying to say is I don't believe he was innocent in all of this. I don't believe he was just standing there watching everybody else do something else. And then you have him throwing up, violently vomiting. He was throwing up because of the stress of talking about Michael. So this is true because the detectives are witnessing him violently vomiting. He's saying it's because he's having to talk about Michael. And you would be really stressed out. Moving forward, Stacey provided 2 reasons they stopped in the GMC at the corner of Southwest 8th Street and South Arizona in Fruitland. 1, for Stacey to put power steering fluid into the vehicle. And 2, so Brandon could get out and check to see if Michael was still alive, because Michael was bound with duct tape and stuffed into a duffel bag in the bed of the truck. Stacey said he was able to hear Michael making noises like a dull scream. Stacey said they were worried about being seen because they saw a car parked off of South Arizona. We've all heard Stacey talk about putting in the power steering fluid. And then he says that Brandon got out to check on Michael. For the first time on my panel, when I did my interview with Brandon put himself outside of the vehicle. He said it was to help Stacey put in the power steering fluid. Now, Brandon said he only got out of the car for a second. And we've heard Stacey Wondra say, I only got out for a minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. He said all of that to put the power steering fluid in. And we know that putting in the power steering fluid is a lot longer than that. You know, you got to get out of the vehicle. You got to get the power steering fluid. You got to take the cap off. You got to pop the hood. You have to take the cap off of the power steering fluid container that's in the vehicle. And then you have to put the lid back on, and then you have to close the hood, and then you get back into the vehicle. So there are truths into what Stacey and Brandon are saying when they said they only got out of the car for a second. Because I believe they pulled over to the side of the road. Brandon hopped out of the side door, went and checked on Michael, and then got back in, and they took off. I don't even believe there was power steering fluid. Sarah says it was to adjust a mirror. Sarah said it was to put something in her GPS. You have all these suspects saying different things, but within all of that, there's some truth. They weren't on the side of the road for very long. Stacey said they drove straight to Brandon's mother's house in Kuna, Idaho, where Brandon grabbed both bags, the duffel bag containing Michael and a backpack, and went into the house by himself. Stacey said that once they arrived in Kuna, Michael was not making any more noises, and none of them had checked on Michael to verify if he was still alive. Stacey said that Brandon told him he left Michael in the bag and put him in the spare room inside his mother's house. And like I said before, Brandon went back to Kuna that night. Brandon went back to Kuna that night to his mom's house. You want to know why? Because he was paranoid. He was paranoid that Michael could be found there or something, and didn't want to just leave Michael there, dead. Cadaver dogs hit at Brandon's mom's house. Cadaver dogs, trained cadaver dogs that are trained to smell or to hit on the scent of death. And they left poor Michael in that duffel bag without even checking whether or not he was breathing or not. I mean, if they were all supposed to sell Michael to make $10,000 a piece, why wouldn't they check to see whether or not he was alive or not? Wouldn't they want to keep him alive so that they can sell him? So the story kind of isn't jiving when you listen to all of Stacey's story. And then you have Stacey once again. Brandon was the only one that went in the house. He grabbed the duffel bag and a backpack. went into the house by himself. Brandon Shirtliff, when he came up on my panel, talked about Stacey Wondra coming into his house. And I said, oh, wow, so Stacey came in your house? The reaction that Brandon had to that, I mean, he got nervous real quick. He realized that he had said something that had not been said yet. And despite people thinking, that Brandon has only told truths to JLR early on versus what he spoke to me about, Brandon said things up on my panel that were true, things that did happen, and that contradicted so much that it got his ass, Stacey's ass, everybody's ass in trouble. They then moved Brandon's car back to Fruitland. Stacey said that Sarah, Brandon, and Adrien went to Cuna the next day to get Michael. The three of them brought Michael's body back to their house in Fruitland. He stated that he was inside, Brandon was on guard, and Sarah and Adrien dug the hole together. And Chris Madonna spoke to Stacey about them bringing Michael back from Cuna in Stacey's confession that had been leaked out onto YouTube. And here is Stacey once again. He didn't go to Cuna to get Michael's body, but everybody else did. Stacey takes no responsibility for anything at all that he did or what had happened to Michael. He does not and is not and will not take any responsibility. Let me get a drink here, guys. Stacey reported he did not previously report this information because he thought he would still get into trouble and because he was fearful for Sarah harming him. He was afraid of Sarah. And I've heard that Sarah was afraid of Stacey. And he didn't need to previously report this. Like, they all could have reported Sarah walking in the house with Michael when she brought him in. They could have just left the damn house and called 911. They are grown-ass adults that all made the decision that day to have some kind of involvement in Michael's abduction and murder. Period. In an interview, Stacey stated that Michael had a stuffed animal. Some sort of stuffed animal, I want to say like a dinosaur or monkey. And what I saw was a monkey, was green, and looked like a green monkey. In one interview, Stacey advised the lime green monkey was a dog toy that he and Sarah gave Michael to keep him quiet while he was sitting on the couch in their living room. Earlier, if you were here, I know, I hate this part too. It's so hard for me to keep it together. Thank you for coming in, Opal. And Mama B says, yes, Sam, I don't see how all three men feared her so much. They are all cowards. Yes, Callie, psychopaths usually don't take responsibility. Okay, like I said earlier, there was something that I wanted you guys to remember. I wanted you guys to remember what I read earlier having to do with Kay, Sarah's mom. Okay? Let me go over this again. This is something I read today that I hadn't put together. What Stacey stated that Michael had a stuffed animal, some sort of stuffed animal. I want to say like a dinosaur or monkey. And what I saw was a monkey, was a green and looked like a green monkey. In one interview, Stacey advised the lime green monkey was a dog toy that him and Sarah gave Michael to keep him quiet while he was sitting on the couch in their living room. Back in the affidavit, Kay Ramsey also confirmed to law enforcement that Sarah and Stacey's dog had dug holes in the backyard of the Red Wing residence. Kay reported the dog had dug up what she later determined to be the ear of a green stuffed animal. Kay said she had thrown away the stuffed ear. So you have Stacey Wondra talking about this green stuffed animal, this green monkey, and you have Kay in a different statement talking about the dog digging up the ear of a green stuffed animal. Two statements. Stacey's a liar. Kay has lied before in the past, but this is the point of people given tips in Michael Vaughan's case, because one person says something and another person says something else. And even though these two people are liars, this dog, their dog, Sarah and Stacey's dog, dug up a green stuffed animal that was given to him to play with while he was in the Wandra's house. And because of these two statements made by two different people, the puzzle piece slides together. And that's why we need tips in Michael's case. So if you have any information at all, please call the Fruit Police tip line 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Please, no matter how important you think it is, just let law enforcement decide for themselves whether or not your tip is credible. Let them put together the puzzle pieces. All these statements like this can be used and put together. And we need more tips to come in, because it just helps build the case even stronger than it already is, and so that Michael gets justice, so the family can have justice and find some peace. So please, again, the Fruit Line Police telephone number or tip line number is 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Additionally, Stacey stated that the idea to take a child to sell for money was Adrien's, and that they would get a $10,000 cut. Stacey was asked if Sarah provided any direction throughout any part of this. Stacey said that Sarah asked him and Brandon to follow her lead, which was to take a child. Stacey is saying that Sarah asked him and Brandon to follow her lead, which was to take a child. But then earlier in the affidavit, his statements were that Sarah walked in with Michael. Like he didn't know Sarah was going to walk in the house with a kid. So he even contradicts himself here, in my opinion. Stacey recalled that most of the conversation at that point was Sarah trying to figure out what they were going to do. Sarah had asked Brandon, where should we put the body? And Brandon was like, well, you guys can take him over to my house, and well, we'll deal with it, and that will buy us time. And in this, I hear, what should we do, or where should we put the body, is what Stacey says that Sarah asked Brandon. Not asked Stacey or Adrien. Sarah's asking Brandon, according to Stacey, where we should put the body. Well, in that statement, I hear like Michael's already gone at this point? Like he's already passed? Because he's not just a body, you know what I mean? At this point, he would still be alive. Because according to Stacey, they put him in that duffel bag when he's alive. So that statement right there contradicts, I believe, whether Michael was alive or dead when put into the duffel bag, in my own opinion. Following his interview with law enforcement, Stacey called his mother, Tamara, from the Washington County Jail on a video visit. Tamara asked Stacey if Michael was alive. Stacey shook his head no and said Sarah accidentally killed him. Tamara asked how. Stacey said suffocation and went on to say they buried him in a duffel bag. That just dawned on me that he told his mom that they buried him in a duffel bag. Wow. Because, we hear in the confession that that Michael was buried in a garbage bag. And then here it's saying they buried him in a duffel bag. And these are all in quotations. So, because they're recording conversations from the prison and he's on the phone with his mom. After his interview and phone call with his mother, Stacey wrote an apology letter to Michael's parents and then attempted to hang himself in his jail cell, but he was rescued by Washington County jail staff. So many people ask me whether or not the Vaughan family has received this letter, got this letter, or read this letter. I have no idea. But here, after talking to his mother, like I said earlier, if his mom had information and say this conversation never happened, or Stacey said something to his mom some other time or something, like Stacey's mom's going to come forward and tell law enforcement. I truly do believe that. She's a great woman. She tried to do everything she could to help Stacey as he grew up, but he just became such a problem for her that, she had to put him in an institution to keep her and her family safe, pretty much. So I believe that the suicide attempt is because of how he felt after telling his mom what happened. And that this is probably the one and only time that Stacey felt any kind of remorse whatsoever. And it could very well be because now he knows he's really busted and doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison, or he's hurt because he just told his mom. But I mean, the remorse doesn't last for very long, because then you're giving him up here on the panel with Brandy, and he's a complete and total monster to her, even though here he is writing some letter to the Vaughan family confessing what he's done, which can be used in court. Another piece of evidence here. Exactly, Brandy. Tell me right now how in the hell his own words are just a made-up story that police pressured him into. Give me a break. Exactly. Yeah, he was born a psycho. He'll blame it all on his fetal alcohol syndrome, though, let me tell you. Yeah, that letter was his confession. Exactly. He wasn't pressured. This affidavit says that he called law enforcement twice to talk to them and started telling them what happened. He wasn't pressured into anything, and it's obvious when you see the 2 videos that are out there that were leaked. And those are 2 videos, and from what I understand, there's several more videos. That isn't even all of what he said. So, and we're going to go over what he said in those before his court date in March. Yeah. The letter was definitely done by his own free will. Okay. Moving on, it should be noted that during some part of Stacey's incarceration in Washington County Jail prior to his confession and directions on where to find Michael's body, Sarah was out of custody and living back at the house on Red Wing Street, as evidenced by her being there when law enforcement arrived to execute the search warrant. Sarah could have had the time and ability to move any evidence from the property without Stacey's knowledge. Like I said at the beginning of the live, that I believe wholeheartedly that Brandon knows exactly where Michael is. I also believe that Sarah had some kind of involvement either by telling Brandon to do it or whatever, but even the affidavit here says that Sarah was out of custody living at the house on Red Wing, as evidenced by her being there with law enforcement arrived to execute the search warrant. Sarah could have had the time and ability to move any evidence from the property without Stacey's knowledge. Here's Stacey giving his confessions, telling law enforcement where Michael is, and they are digging 3 to 4 feet down in that backyard and the entire yard, and they cannot find Michael. But multiple dogs, cadaver dogs, hit in the backyard. A toy that Stacey Wondra says they gave Michael to play with is later dug up by the dog, and Kay, Sarah's mom, throws it away. And in that confession footage, they pulled up some other something out of the backyard, and you can see the look on Stacey's face even then. Stacey didn't know that they weren't going to find Michael, in my opinion. He didn't know that Michael was moved. He thought he was going to get a deal by telling law enforcement where Michael was so that he didn't have to spend the rest of his life in prison and get the death penalty, because they do have that there in Idaho, and it's by firing squad. On June of 2022, Sarah called Kay Ramsey from jail and spoke about spouses being able to testify against each other. In a recorded phone call from the Washington County Jail to Sarah, Stacey expressed concern that Sarah was going to turn on Stacey. Sarah confirmed that Stacey was referring to Michael Vaughan. Sarah told Stacey that she had already told her attorney that she wasn't going to turn on Stacey and that she wasn't going to testify against Stacey. Stacey then reassured Sarah he'd never testify against her. This is a recorded phone call. It cannot be disputed. It's like surveillance footage. It's like cell phone tower information. It can't be disproved. It can't be challenged. It cannot be contradicted. It is fact that this phone call happened. And in this recorded phone call, Stacey expressed concern that Sarah was going to turn on him. Sarah told Stacey she wasn't going to, or told her attorney she wasn't going to turn on Stacey. What is there to turn on each other about? What is there to turn on each other about? Sarah confirms that Stacey was referring to Michael Vaughan. How did she confirm that? Did she tell law enforcement that? Did she confirm it in this recorded phone call? Either way that she confirmed it, she confirmed that she could turn on Stacey if she wanted to, having knowledge about Michael Vaughan's abduction and murder. Vice versa, when Stacey says that he is not going to turn on Sarah. So it's confirmed that she was referring to Michael Vaughan. This paragraph right here in this entire affidavit is a key piece of evidence that they're going to use in the discovery and in the court hearings that you cannot deny or disprove, challenge, or contradict. This is facts, and it's in a recorded phone call. Yes, Kelly, innocent people do not say this. Did we know if there was any DNA found on the trike? We know Michael's scent was on the trike. I don't know about any DNA. We're not privy to that information. As a search warrant was executed on 1102 Red Wing on November 12, 2022, Stacey described exact location as to where to find Michael buried in the backyard of the residence. He instructed detectives through video chat, as we all saw during that confession footage. Sarah Wondra, who was located in the residence at the time, was detained as officers read to her the search warrant. Sarah made several strange statements. Wow, that is a lot. I definitely did not kill that boy. The Most High God already told me who did it. So, oh, wow. The Most High God just told me that Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him in the backyard of Carson's house. She also said the Most High God told her Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him. The Most High God just told me that Stacey was the one who did it. He wants me to make sure you understand that I had nothing to do with it. He said that Stacey buried him in the backyard by the shed. It wasn't actually Stacey who harmed the boy. As officers started to search the residence, Sarah asked several times if the officers had, in quotes, found him yet. So, in quotes, wow, that is a lot. I definitely did not kill that boy. End of quote. In quotes again, the Most High God already told me who did it. So, another statement in quotes. Oh, wow. The Most High God just told me that Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him in the yard of Carson's house. In quotes, the Most High God told her that Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him. The Most High God just told me that Stacey was the one who did it. In quotes again, he wants me to make sure you understand that I had nothing to do with it. God wants law enforcement to understand that that Sarah has nothing to do with this. And then she says that Stacey buried him in the backyard by the shed. Imagine that. Where did Stacey Wondra lead investigators to? In that backyard, over in between the tree and the shed, pretty much, under the pile of leaves in that confession footage. Moving on. I believe this is the last page here. Someone heard a yet. Let me see. Thank you for pointing that out. Court case, Courtney. Yes. As officers started to search the residence, Sarah asked several times if the officers had found him yet. Because when they come, they're on the phone with Stacey Wondra, as you can see in that confession footage. because Chris McDonough tells Stacey that Sarah's been arrested. And he's like, whoa, she's been arrested? And he's like, yeah. And she was originally arrested because she had knowledge of Michael's death and him being buried in the backyard. It later got taken away and she got put in prison for her, other charges. But she can be charged for all of that again. But yeah, she was asking over and over again. It sounds like multiple times, have they found him yet? Because I think she was trying to pretend and didn't want them to think that she had anything to do with moving Michael when they didn't find him. I mean, if you really think about it, if Sarah had anything to do with moving Michael and she knew that Michael wasn't going to be found back there, she's more intelligent than everybody gives her credit for one. And yeah, maybe just asking that question, have you found him yet? Have you found him yet? Because she's saying he's buried in the backyard and that Stacey did it. She says it over and over again. She doesn't want to give law enforcement a clue that she's done anything with Michael when they don't find him back there. Or Brandon moved Michael and Sarah didn't know. And that's why she's asking. There are people that are saying these four are innocent, especially Stacey and Sarah. It's all just made up story to them. I don't know how anybody could say that these four people are innocent when Brandon has knowledge because he went and stayed the night over at his mom's house the night that Michael disappeared. He admitted up on panel that there was a huge argument after Michael's disappearance. You should hear him stutter after I said, oh, so there was a heated conversation after Michael's abduction. And he was like, oh, yeah. And that was in a recorded conversation that I had with him the day before he came up on panel. He busted himself big time. A heated conversation. And probably to the fact like, oh my God, you took a kid from the neighborhood? That's what I think, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how anybody could think they're innocent. Even Adrien Lucienne himself puts himself in all of this by all of his statements when he's writing things on TikTok and in messages to other people, or even talking with my source, Jay, about the... How did he put that? He said, the money was put, or the money changed or something like that. He makes a statement about how, sorry, I was reading. Yeah, they have all told on themselves. And they all four implicate one another. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and even in the probable cause affidavit, when she's just saying the Most High God told her because she thinks she could pretend like she was crazy, and the mental illness will not even be able to be a part. They're just going to fix her up and put her on her meds and bring her right to court if she tries to, in any way, shape, or form, try to convince the court that she was crazy or is crazy. The last page here. Idaho State Police and Ada County Sheriff's Office assisted with the execution of the search warrant at the Wandra's residence, along with 5 separate certified cadaver dogs. Prior to officers digging in the backyard of the Wandra's residence, cadaver canines were deployed and alerted in the backyard of 1102 Red Wing. A total of 5 certified cadaver canines were deployed, and all 5 alerted inside the Wandra's backyard in the approximate area of where Stacey claimed he witnessed Sarah and Adrien bury Michael. 5. And so according to other people that believe that Michael was never put in that backyard, you're going to mean to tell me that 5 trained cadaver canines got it wrong? They all alerted in the backyard, and they all alerted in the same area where Stacey said Michael was buried? I could see maybe every huge now and again a dog getting one wrong. One dog getting something wrong sometime, but 5 dogs hit. Not one of them got it wrong, and they all hit in the same area. Neither Michael nor the human remains nor were located during the execution of the search warrant. Prior to excavating the backyard, law enforcement noted there were several areas in the yard that appeared to have been filled in with dirt and or sod or resodded. Kay and Ed Ramsey reported that they had filled in areas of the yard where Sarah and Stacey's dog had dug holes. At various interviews after the disappearance of Michael Joseph Vaughan, Stacey was asked what happened to his and Sarah's cell phones from July of 2021. Stacey said Sarah, 1 and 2, in quotes, detract attention so we are not on the radar. And that was the reason they sold the phones. When asked if there was evidence of the crime on these phones, Stacey said there were text messages. Investigation, and once again, Stacey says there's text messages. If they find these text messages, again, that's something that can't be disproved, challenged, or contradicted. It is fact. Investigation revealed that the Wondras changed their phones approximately 3 times in 5-month period. Stacey described purchasing SIM cards to put in his cell phone to evade law enforcement. So here you have hold on one second. The GMC pickup was subsequently repossessed for non-payment. Stacey then called Kim's Cars, wanting the truck back or to borrow it. He also told them to hurry up and sell it. That's in quotes, hurry up and sell it. Stacey further advised that they sold the Lexus they had at the time Michael Vaughan was abducted. And don't forget, they cleaned that truck. So you have him wanting this truck back, wanting to borrow it, hurry up and sell it, like he's all worried about this truck now too. Within a few weeks of Michael's disappearance, the Wondras' iCloud data revealed Stacey and Sarah searched for rental houses in other states, financial assistance in different areas. So here you have them searching for houses, looking for financial assistance in other states, different areas, selling their phones, going through at least 3 phones in 5 months, getting rid of furniture in their house. They have washed and cleaned a truck, and then Stacey's trying to get this truck back and saying, hurry up and sell it. Stacey's saying that he also got new SIM cards so that they could evade law enforcement. They sold phones that they had, even though Sarah was still paying on those phones. And all of this information, what? There is evidence of all this. Obviously, it's being written out on this probable cause affidavit. And if they have 100% proof of all of this, this is all going to be part of the discovery. And this all is going on after Michael's abduction. including Sarah being weird on her TikToks, going from 11 to over 300 TikToks. 11 in 2 years and 300, over 300 in just a few months. Stacey, in his own words, not really taking responsibility for doing a damn thing, but he damn sure witnessed everything, right? Sarah, in her own words, saying Stacey did it. So he's saying they did it. She's saying it was Stacey. She doesn't even say it was Adrien. She doesn't even say it was Brandon. She straight up says when they come there to dig up that yard that Stacey killed Michael and buried him in their backyard. First she says the neighbor's yard, then she says the backyard, and then she says between the or by the shed. They're getting rid of vehicles, losing vehicles, all of which are used because in the confession footage, Chris Madonna asked Stacey what vehicle was used the next day to go get Michael from Cuna and bring him back to Fruitland. And that's when Stacey mentions Sarah's car. And that's the car they sold. And the truck was cleaned and repossessed. So the truck carried Michael to Cuna in a duffel bag. And then they brought Michael back in the duffel bag back to Fruitland. And then he's buried in the duffel bag in the backyard, also using a trash bag, according to Stacey. And then there's iCloud data that revealed that Stacey and Sarah searched for rental houses to get out of that state. So not only were they cleaning up after themselves, they were trying to get the hell out of there. Law enforcement had already got on to them just 6 days after Michael's abduction. They are at their house. They're interviewing them all. And 6'3" Adrien is hiding in the bottom of a closet. Additionally, a photo of items boxed up was taken on July 30th of 2021 as if they were preparing to move. So now there's even pictures, and I saw those pictures at one point, either on Sarah's TikToks or Facebook or something, that they were packing up. The last paragraph here. In summation, Stacey confessed that the 4 members of the household, Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Brandon Shurtleff, and Adrien Lucienne, were all involved in the abduction and killing of Michael Vaughan. Their home is in the neighborhood adjacent to the home where Michael lived and was last seen. The neighbor, Dorothy Starkey, saw Michael riding a tricycle near the Wondras' home at the time Michael went missing. That same tricycle was seen in the Wondras' garage prior to Michael's abduction. That tricycle was discarded outside of the neighborhood off the bluff after Michael went missing. Why'd they get rid of the tricycle? It had been sitting in their garage since the spring of 2021. Why was it discarded? And you mean to tell me Sarah or Stacey walked down that bluff and put that tricycle into some bushes? Had to have been Adrien or Brandon, in my opinion. That tricycle was discarded outside of the neighborhood off the bluff after Michael's went missing. Kay Ramsey, Sarah Wondra's mother, claimed to have found it and moved it to the entrance of the neighborhood, which is refuted by the fact that another neighbor, unrelated to the case, claimed to find it and placed it there. So Kay says she puts this tricycle back, or puts it by this bluff sign. They're basically calling Kay a liar right here when they know that another neighbor put it in front of the bluff sign when he decided he didn't need the wheel off of that tricycle. Case story also does not account for the fact that the tricycle was in the house before being discarded and before Michael went missing. Live scent track dogs were deployed, and the only house they showed interest in was the Wondra's house. That same dog showed interest in the area where Michael went missing from. There's that. The house and where Michael went missing from. And the area where the tricycle was discarded. And where Dorothy Starkey said that she saw Michael on the tricycle. Based on the following, your affidavit is requesting that Stacey Wondra be charged with kidnapping and murder in the first degree, as well as the concealment of evidence. Which, you know, look at all the evidence they concealed. Look at all the evidence that was concealed. All of those things. Honey, there is in no way, shape, or form, Mama, really, there is no way that you would ever be able to be yourself while being in a courtroom facing the monster that hurt your baby. And we're not expecting you to. And it's okay. We know that you are also having some health issues too. Nobody here is judging you. We love you. We're here to support you. The stress level has to be so intense right now. I'm so sorry you're going through this. We love you. We're here for you, hun. You got this. You got this, got this. Domestic Pinup is here. Thank you so much for coming in. I have been in and out listening. Just wanted to say hello. Hello, beautiful. Thank you for coming in, hun. The Gemini is here. Thank you also for coming in. I'm so sorry, Mama. I really am. I love you so much. That's the first time I've gotten through that affidavit without bawling. It really is. It's so hard to disconnect. It really is. Especially, when I'm now friends with Brandy, she's like family to me now. And, yeah, it's hard to read that. It's hard to read anything like that about any child that has been kidnapped and murdered. It's not something I like to do, but you know what? I'm going to continue putting out the facts. I'm going to continue talking about everything, talking about Michael, supporting the Vaughan family. I want justice. Everybody here in chat wants justice. We are not going anywhere. It's never, ever going to stop. We are Monkey's Army, Brandy's Army, Monkey Strong, Brandy Strong. That is right. Mama B, thank you for being here tonight. Absolutely. I have a promise to keep, and we know you're going to keep it. I know how much you love your son. You are never going to let these monsters get away with what they've done. I believe that 100%. You'll never break that pinky promise, Mama. And we're going to just sit here and keep helping you fight the fight. Michael Vaughan means a lot to all of us. His beautiful face, his beautiful smile. I mean, he is so beautiful. All we want is justice. Michael Vaughan was abducted July 27th of 2021 while he was wandering the neighborhood. He just left the house while Daddy was changing a diaper and ordering pizza. And, that kind of thing happens with children. They wander off a little bit. He just wanted to find somebody to play with. He didn't even go far from home. All he was doing was walking up and down his street and right around the corner. And there were monsters there to abduct him. The 4 suspects here are Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Adrien Lucienne, and Brandon Shurtleff. Stacey's already been arrested for first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and destruction of evidence. Sarah Wondra will be arrested because she's on hold. She had a parole hearing. She's supposed to be released October 27th of 2026, and she'll be released. And then she's going right back into custody to be charged with first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and destruction of evidence, right along with Stacey Wondra. Adrien Lucienne has said in his own words so many friggin' times what has happened, who's after him, how he was set up to live at the Wondra's house. His own words will get him in trouble. They will go and eventually charge Adrien. Brandon admits to being in the truck and getting out to help Stacey do power steering fluid, but I believe he was really checking on Michael. But he admits it. He admits to being at the house. He admits to there being an argument right after Michael's abduction. Brandon knows where Michael is. He will be charged. Brandon is a friggin' coward. He wants to try to convince everybody that he's some country boy who's just, didn't do anything. It's not my fault, but we know better. We know better. And he has an attorney now because his mama had to pay for one. He thinks he's going to get off because they don't have any evidence against him. All of it untrue. This is the shit he spews. He thinks he's going to get away with it just like Stacey. Just like Adrien saying he was set up. Oh, poor me. I was set up. I hope you have a sucky birthday today, Adrien. I hope it sucked. And I hope every time Tina Muriel sits here and listens to these lives and hears all of the information coming out about her son, that she sits there and thinks about the fact that she has knowledge of Michael's abduction and or murder and sits there and refuses to tell law enforcement what she knows. Maybe one of these days she'll have a heart and actually come forward when she realizes her son really is a monster. Brandon is definitely a monster. And Kay, if you're listening, same thing for you. Go ahead. Keep reading letters to Sarah from Stacey. Go ahead. Keep trying to hinder the investigation by throwing away an ear that's green from a stuffed animal, knowing Sarah Wondra damn well told you what happened right after it happened. I know it. I know you know it. So tell law enforcement. How can these mothers keep protecting these monsters? It's ridiculous. And Adrien, your mom's just up there in heaven shaking her damn head at you. If you want to do right by your mom, you need to just come forth and talk to law enforcement. And Brandon, maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance for you to get a deal. If you say where Michael is, talk to law enforcement and find out. If anybody has any information about these suspects, about Michael's abduction or murder, if you've heard anything, whether you think it's rumor or not, it is time for you to come forward. Give that tip to Fruitland Police. The telephone number is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. No tip is too big. It's not too small. Anything you have to say, just let law enforcement decide whether or not it's credible. It is important for you to get it off your chest, especially if it's bothering you. Because if it's bothering you, it's probably something you should be telling law enforcement. Be Monkey's hero. Be the Vaughan family's hero. You don't want to live forever thinking you didn't do something. that you didn't help when you could have helped, you want to give a tip and feel good about yourself. That tip line phone number, 208-642-6006, or email findmichael@fruitland.org. And Brandy would tell and ask everybody, if you want to do anything, share Michael's beautiful face, share Michael's beautiful smile, whether you're sharing a flyer, whether you're sharing a live, whether you're giving me a thumbs up to put it out in the algorithm, or watching somebody else's YouTube on Michael Vaughan and giving them a thumbs up, sharing those, or just his flyer, or even sharing the fact that Stacey Wondra's hearing is less than 2 weeks away. It's less than 2 weeks away. He has been charged. Share that. Share that one of these suspects has been charged. Share that Sarah is also going to be charged when she's off of parole. I shared that information in the Michael Vaughan Case Revisited Facebook group today. It's a fact. And like dominoes, one by one, they will fall. All 4 of them, and anybody else hindering this investigation will go down, and anybody else that was involved, like the people that were going to purchase Michael, will all go down. Because let me tell you, when the cuffs go on Adrien or Brandon, they're going to squeal. They are going to squeal so damn fast because they're cowards. Right now, they're just thinking they're getting away with it because nothing's happened. But man, that cowardly inside, scared to death, whatever, as soon as those cuffs go on for their charges, they're going to squeal. Squeal, squeal, squeal. And now that Sarah and Stacey are divorced, see, in this probable cause affidavit, Sarah and Stacey were so worried about whether the other one was going to turn on the other one. And there's Sarah asking her mom during this phone conversation about, how did that go? Let me just look again because I want to get it right. Let me see. On June of 2022, Sarah called Kay Ramsey from jail and spoke about spouses being able to testify against each other. Why would she even be worried about it if she didn't have anything to do with Michael's abduction? That's what she keeps telling everybody. She didn't have nothing to do with it. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I need an attorney. I didn't do this. Why is she so worried about spouses being able to testify against each other? In a recorded phone call from the Washington County Jail to Sarah, Stacey expressed concern that Sarah was going to turn on Stacey. Sarah confirmed that Stacey was referring to Michael Vaughan. Sarah told Stacey that she had already told her attorney that she wasn't going to turn on Stacey. The attorney could be well, I guess attorney because of attorney privilege. I mean, but even the attorney knows, because probably something was said, that Sarah isn't going to turn on Stacey. Why are they so worried about each other turning on each other? Even Stacey says that he wasn't going to testify against, that he was reassuring Sarah he would never testify against her. But now they're divorced. And Sarah's really upset about it. Very upset about it. And Stacey's really upset that it went through before the preliminary hearing. I'd really like to know the reason for that. But the fact is, there are 4 named suspects: Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Adrien Lucienne, and Brandon Shurtleff. And they will all get arrested and charged per notice that the prosecuting attorney, Mike Duke, the DA, put out just months back. All individuals involved will be charged. All. And we're Monkey's Army, and we're here to make sure it gets done. Call in that tip to Fruitland Police, 208-642-6006, or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Please. Keep praying for Monkey. Keep praying for justice. Keep praying for Brandy and her other health issues. Sorry, I needed to take a drink. Mama B here. Thank you so much, Sam, for all of your dedication and support for Monkey, Brandy, and the family. You're such an amazing lady. Much love to you. Thank you, Mama B. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate those kind words. The Gemini says, Jesus Christ will show no mercy on those who hurt children. Callie says here that Tina knows, but she's too ashamed to admit that she raised a monster. And I totally agree with you. She goes to church and everything, and I just think she is completely ashamed and embarrassed of it. I am right there with you. Yes, 100%. Lynn, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all the support. I work with some amazing ladies, and I appreciate every single one of you. You know who you are. They come from chat. They come from everywhere. Monkey's Army is so big. There are so many people that want justice. Justice is coming. Monkey's Army, Brandy's Army. Justice is coming. Justice for Monkey. Justice for Brandy, Tyler, and family. Let's see what else. Brandy says they all need to stop lying and tell us the truth. Give me back my son. Brandon, where's Michael? Where is Michael? Go to Fruitland Police. Talk to them with your attorney. Get that deal. Tell this family, tell the Vaughan family, tell law enforcement where Monkey is. Beverly Lawyer says, Brandon Shurtleff, Adrien Lucienne, Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, target on your back. They really do. They have targets on their back. It's never going to go away. Justice is coming. We won't give up. I know that's what you meant to say here. Justice is coming, Mama says. Justice is coming. And it is. It's going to come. And you know what? There are cases out there. It's taking years and years and years to solve. It's taken years and years and years to charge. You've got 4 suspects in a little bitty city with limited amount of money, and I'm pretty sure that has something to do with going after and charging all the suspects all at once. Everybody has the right to due process, to a quick trial, and they can't do that when they've got 4 suspects in jail and charged for the same thing. None of them can really afford attorneys or anything. They're going to have porn-acquainted attorneys. It's too much. It's too much. And I believe that's what's happening right now. Brandy's backed me up on that before. Like, I just think that the timing's going to be right. They're just dotting their I's and crossing their T's and collecting more and more and more and more to really go after everybody. Brandy says, justice for Michael Joseph Vaughan. We are Monkey's Army. We will get justice. He is coming home. I pray that for you every day, Brandy, that he's coming home, that you'll be able to lay him to rest, find some peace in that. And yeah, just pray for Michael's justice all the time. Phantom says, I'm watching from the beginning. I hate being late. Good to have you here. Chaos Mama, we are an army of moms enveloping you with love and support. You guys are all so kind all the time. Yeah, exactly, the Gemini. We only got one chance to do this. We cannot fail. With Adrien and Brandon, I think it's a lot harder because they've done a lot of really stupid things and they've contradicted themselves and whatnot. And I don't know really what the evidence is, but I really do believe that there's only one chance and they can only do it one time. And if you put too much pressure on this little bitty police department, shit could start getting messed up, and we don't want that. Thank you, Sarah and Callie, so much for being here, watching chat for me. McSporn's in the house. I didn't even see you, hun. Thank you for coming in all the way from Scotland. I get messages from this other lady who lives across the world too, watching, always thanking me for everything, always praying for the Vaughan family. It's great to see people from all over the world giving support. I mean, that's how big Monkey's Army is. We're around the world. The Most High God told her she's innocent. She probably believes that. I think we should make monkey bracelets and have everyone wear one during court. If you're coming to court and you want to make bracelets, make bracelets. That'd be great. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea for anybody that wants to go to support the Vaughan family to go. And if you can't make it into the courtroom, you can be outside that courtroom and let Brandy and Tyler and Blue, because Blue's going to go. You know, she turning 20 soon. Only 19 years old, gonna sit in that courtroom with her mom and dad, not only to support them, because she wants to be there. She wants to know. She wants justice for her brother. She is so friggin' strong, just like her mama. You know, you guys can go there and support if you're in that area. You know, do a parade for Michael the day before, the day of, or every day after court, or whatever you want to do. Throw it all together. I wish I could be a part of that there, but I can't, unfortunately, or I would be there. And I think the family knows if I could be there, I would be there. Anything you can do to support the family, please, please support them. I'm just looking through chat real quick. Domestic pinup. I didn't know you guys were family. I didn't know that. Let's see. I appreciate everybody so much for coming in. You guys are amazing. It's good to see old faces, new faces, the same faces. The support for the Vaughan family and everybody is so strong. Brandy says here, thank you, Sam, for everything. If you didn't see it earlier, you are so strong and courageous, and thank you for continuing to share Monkey's story, even the hardest parts. Aw. Thank you, honey. I love you guys. I love you guys so very much. I don't want to be that creator that bothers you, asks questions or whatever. I don't want you thinking that, our phone conversations are about me getting information. Trust me, if I could call you every single morning just to sip a cup of coffee or something, I would. I really would, Brandy. I love you so much. I appreciate that so much. You almost made me cry. Don't make me cry. I kept it together through the whole probable cause affidavit. Don't make me cry now. Fake Christians are gross, right? You're going to church every Sunday. You're pretending to be this Christian woman, whether you're Kay or you're Tina, which is Brandon and Sarah's moms. And yet you have this information about an abducted, murdered child and what? Keeping silent. No. God ain't mad at you for that. Of course he is. And it doesn't matter how many times you go to church and ask forgiveness from God. If you're not doing right while asking for forgiveness, you're not going to be forgiven. You can't just constantly just ask for forgiveness and not say anything. You have to do something, right? I mean, that's how I feel. Do something. All right, you guys, I cannot stop thinking about this food in my crock pot. That's all I smell. Brandy says here, I've said from the very beginning, I wanted the whole world to see Michael's beautiful face because of everyone's help. That has been possible. Yes, it has. People from all over the world are here all the time. I love it. Michael's, there's a message in all of this, Brandy's been able to do thing in Monkey's name by doing Monkey's Law in Idaho. There's a story here because when all 4 people get charged, then the world knows that there really is justice and that justice does happen and that good things happen even to bad people, like good things like being arrested and put in jail for the rest of your life and being sentenced. Ashley here says that Monkey has her heart. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming in. Could we protest at Kay and Tina's house? You know what? I'll tell you something right now. I learned something about protesting. Kyron Horman's mom has protested out in front of Dee Dee Spicer's house and in California in front of Terry's house. And you can protest outside their houses as long as you're on the street. You have to stay on the street and you can protest with your signs. You cannot get violent. You cannot scream, but you can hold your signs and protest, and law enforcement cannot do anything because the street is public, but you cannot go on their property. Desiree Young works with law enforcement. She knows the laws. She knows what she can and can't do, and they abide by the laws when they do it, and they've done it multiple times, and law enforcement's even been called, and all they have been told is, sorry, we can't do anything. They're not being disruptive. They're not being violent. They're on public's land out here on the street. So if you want to protest outside, protest outside. Absolutely, 100%. You can protest outside the courthouse. You can protest in front of suspects' homes. Tina Mareel, Brandon's living there. So if you protest at her house, Brandon's home too. Just be careful. Be careful. You don't know how crazy these people are going to be. They are involved in a kidnapping and murder. So you will be there in my heart along with everyone else that wishes they could be there. I will be there for you all. Mama, you know I would be there. I know you know that, Brandy. I wish I could be there. But I will be here. And I know you know I'm going to be right here. Matter of fact, I'm trying to find somebody right now, because if that courtroom's public, I'm trying to find somebody to take notes and then come check in at the end of every day with those notes with me, go live and go over what happened in court. And if that's too much for that person when they're taking notes, maybe they can do notes the entire time and then come after the preliminary hearing and Stacey's been charged, because I won't put out there that he won't, and then do that. But I am looking for somebody in that area that will go take notes and talk to us about it. And if it's not televised, and I actually have somebody currently looking into whether or not it's going to be televised, because they know the news stations there in Fruitland. So I'm digging deep over here. All your kind words, prayers, love has carried us through these difficult times every day for these past 4 years. We couldn't have done a quarter of what we have without you. That's what Brandy says. I don't know if that's towards me or everybody else, but thank you. I just absolutely love everybody so much. My chat's awesome. Again, if you have any information about Michael's abduction, please call the tip line at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. No tip is too big or too small. Thank you for putting that up, Sarah. Please keep praying for Halo Art, one of our moderators that's been missing. She had back surgery. She's still recovering from it. Lots going on there. It was for everyone, she said. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to hop down, but I am going to play this for Monkey. I appreciate you all for coming, for supporting me, for supporting Michael Vaughan, and helping seek justice. I hope you guys all have a good night. I'm about to go eat my dinner. Love you guys. Have a good night. Oh, and I will be back soon. I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow. If I come Monday, I might have to do it early, because there's Monkey Monday at the round table for Michael on Monday. So I try to avoid doing anything on Monday, but I could do it early. I just don't know how many of you guys can show up. Maybe tomorrow. I don't even know what my plans are tomorrow. I've got grandkids doing basketball. Life is crazy, you guys. So I'm coming back, and that's why it's so important for you guys to click that notification bell, because I find out that morning how my day is going to be, and if I've got time for live, I'm going to do it. And if you guys miss it, you guys can always click the replay. But anyway, more to come. Love you guys. Thank you guys for watching.